What is up, Maniacs? I am Zach, and I am the Milly Maker Maniac. Today we are doing a redraft league with some friends in a Yahoo league. In this league, we have one keeper. You get the keeper you take. It comes from where you drafted them originally when you initially kept them. So I'll go to our who people are keeping. I am keeping Jahmyr Gibbs, and he was a second-round pick for me last year, so I will not have a second-round pick in this draft. Other keepers are CeeDee Lamb, Devon Achane, Lamar Jackson, T. Higgins, Jake Ferguson, interesting. Josh Allen, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase in the 8th is pretty sweet. Same with Josh Allen. Jaden Daniels in the 10th. Bucky Irving in the 13th. That's a really nice one. And Joe Burrow in the 14th. Let's jump in. We're pick 9, so we got a little bit before we'll get going here. So we'll look at the scoring here. 6 points for passing touchdown. 6 for receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown. Let's see. It does not look like this is PPR. Yeah, I do not see a point for a reception. So yeah, non-PPR. It's definitely going to be a little bit more touchdown dependent than a lot of leagues that we're in. So we got Jahmyr Gibbs, so definitely probably going to be looking at one of these wide receivers coming up. Definitely like Justin Jefferson and Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, Drake London. I would go exactly in that order. So we'll just see how it falls to us here. All right, we are coming up next. We still have Nico, Malik, and Drake available for us. I think I'm just going to go directly in that order, even though part of me wants to take Drake here, but I might actually take Drake over Malik. That's not the consensus by any means, but I just feel like Drake is going to have a more consistent team around him, better matchups throughout the year. The Giants have one of the worst schedules in the league. If Nico's there, I would take Nico. I think the appropriate thing to do would just go in this order, honestly. But I kind of like Drake London. Just feel like that NFC South is going to have a lot of shootouts this year. And I like Michael Penix. I think he is going to have a pretty good year. So we'll see how his falls. Looks like it's going to be between Malik and Drake. So they're all there. So, all right, we're going to go with Nico. Nico is the guy. We'll take that start. Nico and Gibbs to get going. Also, since it's a non-PPR league, I just feel good about Nico. He doesn't necessarily need a lot of receptions to score well. He can put up big games, and he'll probably score a lot of touchdowns as well. So, like the first 2 picks here, we got 2 studs here. As long as Nico is healthy, we should be in a good spot. All right, coming up on my second pick, 3rd round, as Jahmyr Gibbs was automatically made my 2nd round pick as my keeper. Was hoping to get Jalen Hurts, but he was just taken off the board there. Let's see. Yeah, no more elite quarterbacks left, unfortunately. So we could go, I would go one of these 2 receivers considered, Ladd McConkey or Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm out on Marvin Harrison at this price. I think he should be much lower than where he's going now. Running back wise, let's see, I would consider Chuba or James Conner for sure, like Travion Henderson. Only 2 wide receivers in this. Feel pretty good about getting more depth at wide receiver later on. There's only so many solid running backs, only so many bell cows. So I think this is a good spot to go. It's on us now. Good spot to go running back here. Yeah, with Ladd and Jackson Smith and Jigba being gone. It's a big teardrop to Marvin Harrison in my mind. I'm going to go with Chuba. In best ball, I'm a lot more open to going hero RB or zero RB just because you can pick a whole bunch of timeshare guys as well as handcuff guys, and you don't have to figure out which like borderline guy to put in your lineup who is one of like 4 guys that's pretty solid that is going to have that particular week. It just automatically happens for you. Or in redraft, like you need to have some predictability. So I want to try to get guys early on that I know are going to get volume, that I can count on consistently to be solid week in and week out. Chuba's a guy that definitely fits that mold. So at running back, in my 2 running back spots, I have 2 guys that I can plug in every single week, and I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to be getting volume from that spot. So coming up on the next pick, I would consider, looks like James Conner just went, so that option is out of there. Wide receiver, there's some decent options here. The name that jumps out to me, actually these 2, George Pickens and Jalen Waddle, would be the 2 wide receivers that I like most out of here, but I just think that there's more wide receiver later on. I would love to go for Tedero McMillan, Jameson Williams in the 4th round. Calvin Ridley, feel good about that. Roma Dunze, Ricky Pearsall, Mika Buka. I love that whole range. We've missed on elite quarterbacks. See if any of the tight ends are still left. So elite tight end, we've also missed out on. It's kind of a bummer in redraft, but we will now be punting on both and just getting solid as hell at running back and wide receiver, and then getting value at quarterback and at tight end. We'll probably do a little bit of streaming at both, depending on how the draft falls. We'll see. But I think the game plan coming up would be to go TreVeyon Henderson. That's just a big drop off. Like Brees, there's a lot of question behind. Alvin Kamara is older. I mean, the volume's there, but I think there's a decent chance he's not around towards the end of the season just because of his age and the workload he's going to have to take on. Still a great player, but just doesn't have anything around him. So I would lean more towards the upside of TreVeyon Henderson in this grouping. Tony Pollard is decent, but way too early to take him in my mind. So TreVeyon would be who I think I'm going to go with here. Let's look at wide receivers, just make sure we're not missing anything big. Again, like I like George Pickens and Jalen Waddle, but I honestly, to me, like the next guy that jumps off the page for me is Tedero McMillan. I got a shot at getting him when it comes back around to the 5th. I like Jameson Williams in that range too, like Calvin Ridley. There's not much of a drop off between George Pickens and Jalen Waddle, and honestly, I think there's a decent chance that Tedero McMillan might just finish higher than those guys. So I will pass on wide receiver here, and we'll go running back. Looks like Tedero McMillan already went. Okay, so there goes that theory. TreVeyon Henderson and Tedero McMillan just got sniped. So let's see what we're going to do here. Man, that was a tough little run out. Man, really don't love this spot. Feel like that did not fall the way we were wanting it to. I want to go ahead and just double check running backs one more time, but there's nobody I'm in love with here. Okay, we're going to go wide receiver. We'll go George here. I just feel that they are going to be a very pass-heavy offense. I think he's going to score a lot of touchdowns when you're across from CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's going to take a lot of the coverage. Like there's going to be a lot of focus from teams trying to get coverage on CeeDee Lamb's going to leave some nice opportunities for George Pickens. He's finally with a good quarterback in I think a conducive environment to show off his skills. I think he's a very solid receiver. I honestly would almost be surprised if he doesn't score 10 touchdowns if he's healthy and if Dak's healthy all year long. I like that pick. Would have rather to get a better running back in that spot, but that's okay. I feel very good about 2 wide receivers that I think legitimately have a shot at getting double-digit TDs, and then a stud at running back and another solid bell cow in Chuba Hubbard at running back. So solid start. Didn't quite fall the way we wanted it to, but I think we did the best with what we could there. All right, coming up on our 5th rounder here, we are looking probably at receiver here. Xavier Worthy's a name that's interesting to me here. I've been pretty low on him, honestly, throughout best ball season. I've been just kind of low on the Chiefs in general. I just think that it's likely that their defense is still pretty solid this year, that they aren't going to have an explosive offense just because of game script in too many games. Probably a little bit better than last year, but definitely a consideration. The name that jumps out to me here, Rome Odunze, would be a little bit of a reach. I could just win. I think we'll go with I think we'll go with Worthy. Like I said, I don't have a ton of Worthy, but I think with the Rashee Rice suspension, like he's clearly the number one. It's hard to pass on him. So we will mix it up and go with Xavier there. I think we can still probably get Odunze or Travis Hunter with this next pick. That's really the guy that I like the most here. I think he's the guy that is most likely to be a league winner in this range. The other guys will be fine, but I would say Odunze, Hunter, and then Pearsall I might even put Pearsall ahead of Hunter. But I think those are guys that have upside that these other guys really don't. So yeah, that's kind of where I would lean, is Odunze if he falls down to us here. All right, coming up on our next pick, Roman Odunze is who I'm thinking here. DK Metcalf, I think he's a talented player, but he's going to be very inconsistent this year, I think. And I just don't want anything to do with Pittsburgh's offense. Zay Flowers, again, I think he's a very solid NFL receiver, but not great in fantasy football. Calvin Ridley has some upside. I would add him to the queue here as well. But Odunze, I just think with Ben Johnson there and Caleb Williams in his second year, I think there's just a very good chance that he has a breakout season. All the experts that I've listened to talk about him feel like he definitely can be a star in this league, and that Ben Johnson is likely going to be putting him in much better position than what he was put in last year. And Keenan Allen is gone. Keenan Allen took a ton of targets away from him last year. Obviously, DJ Moore is still there, and he's still on the board here as well, and is the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1 theoretically on their team. But I would be very surprised if Odunze doesn't outscore DJ Moore at the end of the year. And Odunze also gives me, and this being a keeper league, another option for keepers. So we got a few young guys here with our last couple picks that both could have been keepers if they take off. So we're going to be chasing some handcuffs at running back later, but we're just trying to build depth in the wide receiver room. Would love it Ridley or Pearsall fell back to the other side of the draft board. That's unlikely, but not impossible in a 10-person league. So we'll see how it falls out here, but feeling pretty solid about this team so far. All right, coming up on our next pick here. Pearsall was fallen, but he just got drafted. So looking at Zach Charbonnet, we got 4 solid wide receivers here. There's also some wide receivers later that I should be able to get. Matthew Golden and Josh Downs are 2 that I think I should be able to get later on. So I want to get some more running back depth here. I think Charbonnet is a guy that is one of the more likely guys that could be a league winner as far as an RB2 goes. Kenneth Walker has had a ton of injuries, and when Zach Charbonnet has stepped in, he's balled out. So he would be walking right into a lot of volume. I think he might have some flex appeal throughout the year as well, just as part of a split backfield. Been a lot of rave reviews about him in training camp, so definitely would like to get Charbonnet here. The quarterback that I'm targeting is Drake May. We should be able to get him when it comes back around. Hopefully when it comes back around the next time. We can take a little bit more of a risk waiting on quarterback now because everybody pretty much has a quarterback besides us, so there shouldn't be many people looking for QB, so we should expect him to fall a little bit. So I might just go Kraft here after Charbonnet. I think, well, actually Warren is the ADP in this one is weird. Warren's way late down here. Let's see, where was he? Somebody must have got him already. Let's see. Yeah, somebody did get one already. So we will go with Charbonnet here, and then we'll figure out tight end when it comes back around. Possibly. We might just go Diggs. I think Kraft is really the interesting strategy going to tight ends there. But everybody's pretty much got a tight end too. See, QB wise, I think I'm the only guy without it. No, guy in the 1 seat already does not have a QB, but let's see what's left at quarterback. Yeah, I mean, he's still way down there on the list, so May should definitely get back to me so we can be aggressive with taking somebody else here. Might see if I get lucky and get both guys to drop and just go Diggs here. It doesn't make sense to take a backup tight end in this league. Obviously, we saw somebody else already did, but let's see. Does every team have a... No, actually, the two teams on the clock right now don't have tight ends, so maybe Kraft will get swooped up right here. Let's look at tight end room again. Yeah, I'd kind of be surprised if he doesn't get taken with one of these picks here. But if he gets to us, I think every other team has a tight end, except for Riverboat Ron. So we could lose him there. But everybody else, let's see, still there. Oh, Matthew Golden went off, so there goes that one. Did want that. Probably just need to go Kraft here. The guy after me doesn't have a tight end. It would be fun to have Diggs and May, but that's okay. We'll go with Kraft if he gets here. Big Honey doesn't have a tight end either, so it's possible to take him. All right, it's on us now. So we got through. We'll go ahead and get Kraft. So we're done at tight ends. I think Kraft has a lot of upside. So wish we could have got Diggs there too, but obviously it made sense for this lineup. We have 4 strong receivers and 3 solid running backs. So Kraft to me is a step ahead of Ingram, Goddard, Kincaid, Loveland, all these guys. So yeah, feel good about the pick. Just a little bit of a tough decision there, that's all. All right, we are back on the clock now. Getting ready to probably take a quarterback here. I think I'm actually going to take a quarterback. I think I'm going to go Purdy first and then let May fall to me. I think May should fall to me. Both the guys in front of me, or all 3 of these guys have QBs already. And there's still Nix and Kyler ahead of him. So I feel pretty good about him getting to me. When I don't get an elite QB, I like to take 2 in this range. I think there's, in this range of quarterbacks, this Kyler, Drake, Justin Fields, Caleb Williams. Bo Nix is definitely normally in a higher tier. Most of the time he's gone. I like Drake May actually better in fantasy this year, even though ADP definitely says that it should be Bo Nix in this spot. But I just think the New England, their defense will be better, but they're not going to be nearly as good as Denver's defense. So I think the amount of games that Denver has to have an explosive offense isn't going to be, there's not going to be too many of those games. I think most of their games are going to be slower paced and competitive, somewhat defensive games. I think it's just going to be slower paced games, fewer points scored. I don't think there's going to be a lot of shootouts that they're in. And for a fantasy QB, that just doesn't, it's just not a good recipe. Drake, I think, New England's defense will definitely be better, but I think he'll be playing catch up in a decent amount of games, and that tends to lead to a lot of fantasy points, especially with his ability on the ground. He ran for 323 yards last year. Oh, that's Purdy. He ran for 421 last year, and that was only in basically 13 games that he played. I've seen projections with him as high as 800 yards. I like the rushing upside of a quarterback here. Also, we're in round 9 now. He's definitely somebody that could be a keeper for me in the future if he does become a stud. So I like this range for Drake for sure. Like how this roster's coming together. Phillies defense going in the 9th rounds. Boom. Free money out here. All right, we got our boy Drake May. 2 solid QB options. We do have the same buy. That's kind of a bummer, but we'll figure that out. We got till week 14 to figure that out. But yeah, so we got starting lineup is filled now. Besides our defense, we got Purdy, Nico Collins, George Pickens, Jahmyr Gibbs, Chuba Hubbard, Tucker Kraft, and Xavier Worthy, with Roma Dunze, Zach Charbonnet, and Drake May on the bench. Pretty balanced build there. I like how this is falling out. So we will continue on here. All right, coming up on our next pick here. Looking at either Jordan Addison, Juwan Jennings, Michael Pittman. I would definitely want to go Addison here. He's falling pretty substantially. Nice. He looks like he got to us here. He does have the 3-game suspension, but he's been a top 24 receiver every year of his career. So being able to have him as my wide receiver 5 is a bit ridiculous, even with the 4-game or 3-game suspension. We'll take that all day. Since I have gone wide receiver here, I got 5 guys I feel pretty solid about, and only 2 wide receiver spots and a flex to fill. Probably just going to go running back with my last 2 picks. So go ahead and take off these guys here. Pittman. It's crazy Pittman's still out there. I wanted to go, looks like Scatterboo must have been taken. Yeah, I got taken right before me. So I have queued up kind of like the premium handcuffs. Ray Davis can have standalone value, same with Tyler Algier, but their real value is if there was an injury in front of them, they would walk into a lot of volume. Same with Will Shipley, Ollie Gordon as well right now, with Jalen Wright out for an extended amount of time. DJ Giddens, Taj Brooks. So these will be the guys that I'll take as we finish out the draft here. Just putting myself in position where I can get a player that has immense value if there's an injury in front of them, giving me either trade value or just value adding to my team with a solid running back. So got 2 guys that I can count on throughout the year as long as they're healthy, definitely early in the year, and then the rest of the guys I'm drafting at running back are more potential late season upside if there's an injury in front of them, which how this lineup is built out is a nice feel. And we also have opportunity to get guys off of waiver wire and stuff along those lines in a redraft league. So obviously a little different than best ball. We don't have to hit the home run with our last couple picks, but those are the type guys that I like to take with my last few picks is our guys that have that late season upside. Yeah, so the order I would go would definitely be how we have it now. Ray Davis, Tyler Algier, Will Shipley. I could also, people might ask why I want to go with Rico Dowdle to get my own handcuff here, but I like to play my lineup as if it's right and get guys that can add value, and I could still have my guys. So I don't want to do an insurance policy. I want to more go for the win and believe that my guys are going to be healthy throughout the year. If they're not, then I can make adjustments through trades in the waiver wire, but I always want to anticipate health and then adjust if I need to. All right, we are back on the clock here. Tyler Algier fell all the way to us, so we'll go ahead and just swoop him up now. And that finishes up our bench of position players. We got kicker and defense coming up. Let's look at, I'll just quickly talk through it so you don't have to stick around to see who we draft there. I always like to see what their projected points are. Interesting. It's interesting how that's so different from how they're ranked. I'm going to pull up Green Bay as the defense now. Obviously, they just got Micah Parsons, so a pass rush is obviously a huge component of scoring fantasy points on defenses. Houston, I think, is going to be real solid, and they play in a weaker division. So shouldn't be seeing too much high-end quarterback play. So those would be the 2 teams that jump off the page for me, but we'll wait obviously we have to wait till our next pick. But yeah, I'd never want to take a defense or a kicker until my last 2 picks. Thanks for tuning in, my friends. As always, please smash that subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in. Tell your friends about the Milly Maker Maniac. And good luck this season.